Om. 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। So we have completed first verse up to verse 38. So 38 said Yadyapyete na Vashyanti Lobopa Hatachetasah Kulakshaya Krutam Dosham Mitra Dohecha Patakam. So here the entire delusion of Arjuna started taking over his mind. And what we said was that a person in delusion starts feeling he or she is the only one with the clear vision. That same person is the only one with the clear vision, and whole of the world is actually not thinking correctly, including Krishna. Here, Arjuna includes Krishna as well. That you also didn't think about such a wonderful things I am going to say. So the wrong judgment, when emotionally made any judgment, the wrong judgment, we think the whole world is confused and we are the only clear-sighted ones. Very, very clear, this one that comes. And this is the power of the mind. The manah, the mind itself is having this type of a problem that when such a delusion takes over, the so-called intellect will also join the mind. What we said is intellect normally should correct the mind when mind is start thinking, when emotions overtake the mind, whether it is desire, whether it is anger, whether it is any of these six kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, any of that that takes over, it is the only tool that we have to overcome that type of a problem is our intellect. But unfortunately, when delusion takes over, moha takes over, what happens is the intellects will also start aiding the mind and start justifying the thought process that mind is trying to create. So here, Arjuna is telling with, they say the Duryodhana and Bhima and including Bhishma and all others, they are deluded right now. They are not able to see the evil caused by the destruction of the families. He says, Kulakshaya Krutam Dosham. That dosha which comes with Kulakshaya Krutam, when you destroy the families around by killing all the men, because men are the only one who are participating directly in the war, and when you do that, the sin of harming the friends, because all of the persons who are outside, opposite side, they are either their relatives, very, very close relatives, or the friends. So, mitra drohena patakam. So there are twofold problem that he is facing. One is by killing the people, the family's life is going to be destroyed. Kulakshaya krutam dosham and mitra drohecha patakam. So all the family, friends, whoever are there, by killing them and their friends, what we are doing is only destruction of the families. And when the families are destroyed, we will have a lot of problems associated, which he will continue in verse 39. So he says the people are confused. The entire Kuru family, who is standing in front of them, the cousins, they are all confused, but our thinking should be clear. Krishna, even you are not suggesting what I am thinking is the right path. So Arjuna is including Krishna. And he says evil consequences of destruction of the families by the male getting destroyed. Since in those days, male is head of the family, as we mentioned, and he was the only breadwinner. The women used to stay back, although it's not 100% true. Even in those days in Sanatana Dharma, we have seen that even Draupadi, for example, very, very a clear-headed lady, and used to guide Yudhishthira in terms of managing the kingdom. So, and Kunti we know. Similarly, she was supporting Pandu king when he was alive, well before. Yeah. So here he is telling the friend is killing the friends is one problem, and instead of protecting, we are destroying the friendships, and that is not good at all. So we have to go back. Basically, he is telling why he is telling Krishna, because Krishna is the Saradhi, he is the charioteer. He wants the Krishna to take a U-turn and go back. That is his request to Krishna as such. So this is where we stopped at that particular text in terms of the Vairagya, the Raga and Shoka are over, and attachment to the grief led to the Moha. Moha is nothing but the delusion that has overtaken the Arjuna. So we will read now 1.39. Okay. Katham na jneyam asmabhihi, katham na jneyam asmabhihi, papadasman nivartitum, papadasman nivartitum, kulakshayakrutam dosham, kulakshayakrutam dosham, prapasyadbhirjanardhana, prapasyadbhirjanardhana. So he is telling now Krishna, is directly addressing Krishna as Janardhan, one who lifts the people in general. Jana is people. Yeah. So one who lifts them is Janardhan, one who supports them, one who lifts them up. So he says Yadhyapi, still Katham, why na asmabhihi jneyam? Why can't we decide? No, we know that they are under delusion. Yudhishthira and everybody is on delusion, and they are not able to decide. But why we cannot decide? Na asmabhi jneyam. Why can't we decide? Nivartitum. Nivartitum, to withdraw. Nivartitum, to go back, to withdraw. Asmat papat. Asmat papas, from this sinful action, you can say. So asmat papas is from this sinful action. Why we cannot withdraw? Prapashyabdi. Prapashyabdi is seeing dosham, the evil that is associated with the kulakshaya krutam, caused by the destruction of the families. O Janardhana, O Krishna, by seeing very clearly ourselves that there is a problem with this action that we are taking, why don't we withdraw? Because they are not able to see the correct way of thinking. They lost their correct way of thinking, and it is our responsibility now to withdraw. That is how he has put that, he said. Dosham prapashyadhi. Able to clearly see the negative consequences. We are able to do that. They are not able to do that. Yuddham, which involves kulakshayam. Kulakshayam is the destruction of Kula. Kula is normally families, both, all of them put together becomes Kula. So this Kulakshayam, the entire, because not one person is getting killed. It is not a one-to-one fight. It is a war that is declared, and many, many men are expected to die in this war associated with Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. Now here we see Krishna is keeping absolutely quiet. He is not talking at all till now. He keeps on ranting, and in fact, he goes for another 18 or 19 verses that Arjuna continues to talk in these terms. And one thing that comes is Swajanam. As I mentioned, for every almost second verse, he says, killing my own people, killing our own people, killing my relatives, killing my friends. This is the theme of Arjuna's talk in delusion. So as the charioteer, as I said, he is the one who should take him away from the war. So he keeps on asking. Unless the other person, what Krishna, what our normal thing says is, unless the other person is in a receptive mode, unless you see that the other person has come out of delusion. Even this happens, when dogs get agitated and start barking, etc. There are some people, although it sounds this one, they give a small kick to the back of the dog. So it just come out of that mood to start with. And unless it comes out, it will not listen to even the owner. Because it is thinking, the dogs think that it is protecting the owner. So complete mind taken over by that, it starts attacking the people on the opposite side or dogs on the opposite side. A kick on the butt actually brings them back into the world, and then it starts listening to the person or the owner. So this receptive mood of the person is very, very important before any knowledge can be given to them as such. Otherwise, there is no use in talking to a non-receptive person. Swamiji used to say, call this, Vanarodhanam. Vanarodhanam, if you start crying in the forest, who is there to hear you? Nobody is there to hear you. So these are called Vanarodhanam. Vana is the forest, Rodhanam is the crying. So if some people are crying in the forest, there is nothing, no really advantage the person will get. So this is like Vanarodhanam. The person keeps on talking, crying, crying. And unless the person is brought back into the receptive mode. So Krishna was very, very patient. 38 verses. He is kept on talking. Although some of them are linked to what Sanjaya has observed, Duryodhana telling, etc., and a description of the war itself. But most of this from 20 to now 38 verse, we see that the Arjuna is kept on talking, and Krishna is just listening. And that shows that Krishna is very intelligent and he knows when to say and what to say. Yep. So in 40 verse, we will read again now. Kulakshaye pranashyanti, Kulakshaye pranashyanti, Kuladharma sanatana, Kuladharma sanatana, Dharme nashte kulam krutsnam, Dharme nashte kulam krutsnam, Adharmo bhavatyuta, Adharmo bhavatyuta. So here again, Achyuta is, we have seen this Krishna's address as one of the names that Arjuna uses, yeah. And he says Kulakshaye. When family but the moment he sees that Krishna is not talking, he is now getting excited. He says, why Krishna is not understanding what I'm telling by destruction of the families? So he is now going to expand on that thought process. He says, Kulakshaye pranashyanti. When the families are destroyed, yeah. So what will happen? Kulakshaye pranashyanti. Pranashyanti, perish, yeah. Sanatana, the long-standing dharma that is existing, or Sanatana dharma we talk about. Kula dharme, all the family traditions pranashyanti. They perish. So when the families perish, it's not that just because some people have gone. The long-standing traditions that both male and female have been doing in all the years together or generations together, now you are taking maximum number of people, males, out of the equation. So he's telling that when you do that, when families are restricted, then all long-standing rituals, traditions of the families, they are going to be destroyed or they will perish. Pranashyanti. They will perish. Dharme nashte. And when that happens, what? Dharma will go away. From the family traditions are lost, the dharma will go away, and adharma, unrighteousness, utaha, indeed, abhibhavati, overtakes, and kritsnam kulam. The unrightness will take over the entire family. Kritsnam kulam. Kulam is, as I told you, family. Family traditions will be lost, dharma will be lost, and adharma will overtake the family life altogether. So this is the problem of Arjuna as he is seeing now. Yeah. See, this particular family life aspect is known to our rishis. Yeah. When there are no healthy families in the society, either there is no family life or there are broken families. We see that, yeah. And the impact of that is normally on the children. When the father is not there in the house or mother is not there in the house, major impact will be obviously on the children. And as a consequence for the society, in Sanatana Dharma, whatever culture, whatever spirituality, whatever rituals we pass on to the children are family based. Mostly. Extended families will also help, used to be there as a this one. But really, it is a family who actually gives these traditions to their children, whatever they know. And if some child wants to starts questioning that, but what you are telling doesn't make sense to me. So then automatically the parents used to guide them to some of the elders in the society or within their own families to guide them to understand the rituals, the culture and spirituality that we talk about. And when it goes to the, when it comes out into a major problem with the person's understanding. He says, no, but even this person is not, my grandfather, for example, is not able to guide me correctly. It doesn't make sense to me. I want to understand. The moment somebody says that, there will be always a teacher who is referred to by the elders so that he will go there and read. He will go there and study. Gurudev also it happened. For spirituality, Tapovanji Maharaj was taken into account. One who gave the Sannyasa Diksha, he says, you are asking too many questions. I don't have time to really tell you all this. There is one person, Tapovanji Maharaj, who will be able to guide you. So that tradition is there even now in the society. It is not necessary that parents will be able to answer every question of the child has. And when such a thing happens, we should not discourage a child. We should never say that because I don't know, I should not say that this question should not be asked. No, every questions can be asked. That is what Sanatana Dharma and all our texts actually tells you. Arjuna himself, you will see that he keeps on questioning Krishna. And understand a bit more. You are telling this, but you decide what is good, what is correct, and tell me. That is how he puts some of these questions. Because he is not sure whether Krishna is telling correctly or not. So that option is there for every student with every teacher, and it starts with the parents. That is the reason why, despite 1,000 years of foreign rule, Hinduism could not be wiped out. There is no one specific authority by killing whom the Sanatana Dharma can be killed. The people continue to teach their own children whatever they know. It doesn't matter whether that is 100% right or 20% right or 10% right. Whatever they know, they passed it on as the culture, they passed it on as the rituals, they passed it on as the spirituality. So in some cases where the parents don't know much because of their own limited exposure, setting up a small altar in the house and praying every day to the God and asking him for giving certain things in the life, that itself is Hinduism. And that is majority of the people were reduced to that because our teaching centers, which are the temples, got destroyed in a huge scale, especially in the north of India. Happened in south of India also, but South recovered very fast because the rule of foreigners was very limited time, except for English. When they came, they occupied Chennai. And the impact of that you will see in Tamil Nadu even now. When such people come, it is much more dangerous than somebody with a sword. We know we can hide back for some time till the sword disappears and I can continue my tradition. But English attacked the very root of Sanatana Dharma. They introduced the education system into the country, which slowly brought people away from Sanatana Dharma. Anyway, we will not go into that because that is not directly Bhagavad Gita. But importance of the family in Sanatana Dharma can never be overstated. Can never be overstated. Very, very important that we support our children through and through. And whatever we know, we give them. Ultimately, it is their decision. Some people may go here, some people may not hear, some people may take it in a different way. Doesn't matter. But importance of family is very, very important in Sanatana Dharma. That's why we don't, since this tradition is there in the society, we see less of divorces, less of broken families in the India-related or Sanatana Dharma related families, even now. Although things are changing because of the learning from the Western authority, it is changing, but still we find that we cannot say that family life has completely gone. We still have that responsibility. Once the family has come, I think most of us, whatever happens in the house, we tend to keep the family together in the Sanatana Dharma as a tradition of handover to the next generation, whatever we know. Yeah. So mainly we see in the Western society, because we have here a Kolamana Vike, means there is something to compare with. When we dilute the family, importance of the family as such, when the man of the house disappears, leaving the child and the woman, the impact of that on the children, we can see very, very clearly in the society, especially in some segments of the society. So people going into drugs, children going into drugs, children alcohol abuse, all this will increase moment there is a disruption of the family as a unit. And very, very clear in terms of various researches that people do here, we hear very, very many times that major reason is that man of the house is not there anymore. And unfortunately, the governments in the West have actually kind of incentivized a person to be single by giving extra additional allowances in terms of, in the name of support that they are giving. So it has long-term impact on the society, is very, very clear to the sociologists in the West, definitely. So having a stable family life in terms of Bhagavad Gita, we say that stable family is required for the cultural growth and it is required for the dharmic growth. Dharma, if it has to increase and improve, family has to be stable, and religious growth. So these three are very, very important, that the family is sustained. And that is the reason why the Arjuna is now telling spiritual growth requires Kula Dharma. Kula Dharma is nothing but the spiritual growth and values and culture, what increases have, that is what is the Kula Dharma. As a family, what I do, I propagate this to the next generation. The spiritual growth, the cultural growth, and the religious growth. So religious growth, when I say, a lot of rituals will come into picture, and rituals are all designed in such a way wherein what spiritual qualities are required should be improved over a period of time. Rituals may look superstitious sometimes. So every day morning, get up at 4 o'clock and do your meditation for 2 hours. So this may say that this is the ritual that we were giving to our children or ourselves, for example. The whole reason is that when we put that type of a ritual into place, or every day morning take bath, go to the altar, say a few the chantings that you know about, pray for the God for the whole day to be okay. Starts with 15 minutes, go up to half an hour, go up to 1 hour, and start meditating. So these type of rituals, when we start, mainly what we are teaching is to reduce the outgoing nature of the mind. And doing that type of everyday aspect is not easy. So the ritual becomes an important aspect of how you develop certain qualities that are required for the final spiritual growth. So all these put together becomes a Kula Dharma. When we talk Kula Dharma, the family dharma that we talk about is the one which is sustained by the family life. And if family life is destroyed, Arjuna says that they are not seeing, Dhritarashtra and Bhishma are not seeing because they are deluded. I am seeing clearly this is Mitra Drohecha Patakam. We see in the previous verse. So he says, from parampara, from the traditions that are coming through, this dharme nashte, when dharma goes and adharma will overtake the family life. What is adharma here? Adharma has got various meanings. When we talk about, for example, dharma of a doctor, how he must do his job can be a dharma. Dharma as a husband, dharma as a wife, dharma of the children. So many dharmas are there. Adharma is something which is opposite to the dharma which is prescribed as a duty for the person. Okay? But in the broader sense of Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna talks about adharma, because we are talking of spiritual knowledge here, spiritual jnana that is being given, that will be given by Lord Krishna, Gurudev says, adharma means life given to material values. So if your life is totally revolving around only artha and kama, artha is wealth, kama is desire. If your life continuously revolves around only these two goals, we saw that dharma, artha, kama, moksha. There are 4 types of goals that you can have in your life. Yeah. So dharma, we all know the right way of living as per the Vedic traditions and as per the culture that is established in a society, which is different for different segments of the people who are there. To have the society which is which runs in a proper fashion, like different parts of a machine. So that's how the dharma is established, dharma is defined. So you have, depending upon the kulam and the varna, you have your own goals that are set up for abiding by the dharma traditions or dharma goals. Now here, adharma becomes those who follow only the artha and kama. Kama is the desire. Now we have various desires. In fact, every day of the life, if I can remember right from day one, till now, till today, there is no day when artha, the desire has not defined my actions. When I get up, immediately I have a karma overtaking my mind. Karma in terms of what I will eat today, what I will drink today, where I will go today, what all. It can be good also. I will go to a temple today, I will have a darshan of Sri Krishna, I will go to the ashram, I will do service there. It can be good things as well. But what we are seeing is whenever karma overtakes your mind in terms of the agitation. If I'm not able to go for some reason to the temple, my mind should not get agitated, even if it is good one. But it is a good desire to have rather than having a desire to go and beat up somebody, for example. So you have desires, and as long as one remembers in the past, every day will start with only desire. And it's not the only desire we will have. We will have multiple desires which are defining our life. Throughout the day, we have one or the other desire, and this is called karma, goals of karma. And ardha, I want money, more money, and that becomes my central piece in my life. Fulfilling my desires and acquiring the wealth. If your entire life is going around these two aspects only, dharma and artha, that means your life is being run in adharmic way. You must have a dharmic way of dharma aspects of goals to be inbuilt into your life. And if you don't do that, Gurudev says adharma is taken over. So when family life is destroyed, obviously what happens is the breadwinner is lost. The money input, even one person goes away, the money input, management of the money will be affected. And when that happens, you will see that the uh, the dharma also disappears from the life. More and more of my actions will be for bringing in the money to sustain my own life and my family life. So if I have 5 children and myself, the husband is gone because killed in the war, then the woman struggles to maintain the family in terms of everyday needs. And when that happens, when adharma is taking over the families, Arjuna says that Janardhana adharmobi bhavashyati dharme nashte kulam krutsta. So dharma will go away, and whole my life will then be, I will not have any goals associated with my spiritual development, my religious development, my cultural development. If whole life goes and whole day goes in only earning a few rupees in India and only to sustain my life on day-to-day basis, obviously the culture in terms of music, for example, in terms of dance, in terms of any of the color that I can spend time in terms of bringing in to reduce my mental agitations, I will not have time. I will not have the mental attitude necessary for pursuing any of these extracurricular activities, which will improve my culture, improve my religious life. Because when I'm every day struggling from morning till evening only to gain a few dollars to buy food, obviously I will not have time to go to either church or temple. There is absolutely no time for all that, and the cultural values, religious values, they will go down. Adharma will impact that lifestyle, and when that happens, my spiritual goals are far, far away. And that is the reason why we say, on an empty stomach, if you say, now you do meditation, obviously you will know the answer, what the person will tell you. Yeah. So adharma is nothing but the materialistic lifestyle. And materialist lifestyle, when we say at the very lowest form of it, is when daily sustenance is a problem and I'm not able to spend any money for any further improvements that I can make. That becomes adharma in the spiritual way that we are looking from the Bhagavad Gita point of view. Okay. 41, yeah, we will read that. Adharmabhibhavat Krishna. Adharmabhibhavat Krishna. Pradushyanti kulastriyah. Pradushyanti kulastriyah. Strishu dushtasu varshneya. Strishu drushtasu varshneya. Jayate varna sankaraha. Jayate varna sankaraha. So Krishna, here he directly is addressing Krishna. O Krishna, adharmabhi bhavat. Adharmabhi bhavat, adharma, unrighteousness. We can say that as unrighteousness. When prevalence of unrighteousness, because of the prevalence of this unrighteousness, kulastriya, the woman of the family, pradushyanti, they become corrupt. And Vashneya, O Krishna. Vashneya is another name of Krishna. O Vashneya, Strishu Dushtashu. When the woman become corrupt, Varna Sankaraha, the intermixer of caste will take place. Jayate, there arises the intermixing of the caste. Yeah, here broadly defined as caste. As per me, Varna can never be directly translated as caste. Varna is Varna. Yeah. Krishna himself defines later as to how the Varna is defined in as per Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So when we say the stable family is important, we have seen in the last verse, cultural personality has to be formed in a human being. When we talk about when families are broken, when we say, especially in terms of war we are talking about, in those days, only men used to participate in the war. And that is the reason why here the focus is on Kulastriya. But it is equally applicable in the current day. When women get killed, the family life gets destroyed, and it will be the men who will fall into this type of Strishu Dushtashu, it will Purusha Dushtashu. So when the men becomes corrupt, Varna Sankaraha, intermixing of Varnas will take place. So healthy personality, again, coming back to the importance of families and impact of broken families on the children. When we say, when Varna Sankaraha take place, the why that is most important is the cultural personality of a child is developed at a very young age of a person, very young age, by around 6 years to 10 years max. Already our personality is already defined. How I develop that personality is by observing my parents. It is formed at a very, very early life. And obviously, at such a young age, I cannot read books, I cannot read Google, I cannot do anything. How I pick up is through observing my parents, both men and women, father and mother. I need to see how they are living and how they are following the traditions. And it is easy for a child to learn by observing. In fact, that is the only way. And if 50% of that study, that ability to develop my personality goes away, you have serious psychological issues with the children who are with a single mother or single parent as such. So and it impacts the development of the mind itself. Yeah. And importance of a stable family, I believe even in the West, people are coming out with various studies where it says the child cannot, because a child at a young age cannot discriminate. The discrimination ability is lacking unless you train the mind in terms of using the intellect. And that is the importance of the schooling systems that we have. It gives you the child an ability to discriminate in a regular fashion. Discrimination in spiritual way is to see what is what is real versus unreal, etc. The sadhana chatushtayam. I'm not talking about that. basic discrimination ability, unless a person develops over a period of time when he or she is very young, you will have a problem that proper value systems will not be developed in this child. So child is always looking up to parents. You see that, and not only looking at parents for guidance, they also imitate the parents. Girl tend to imitate the mother, and boy tends to imitate the son. Most of the children, maybe 50% of the children, if you ask what you want to be, if it's a boy, he will say what his father's right now, what the father is doing, and girl will go with mother. But doesn't matter nowadays, both the parents, they tend to imitate the parents quite a lot when it comes to the children, very young age children. And unless you have, unless you provide that type of environment, stable environment, the child will not develop to the full potential. You will have certain values missing in such children, and unfortunately, that is the that is a reality. In fact, if you see the young children, they treat parents almost like gods. They are omnipresent, omnipotent. Only after some time they realize, no, 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 my father is not omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. There is a problem, and I require to gain this knowledge from outside. We go to school, we learn, those things will happen. But for a young child, mother and father are everything. They are like gods to them, and child development requires the whole family to be there in terms of and type of self-image a child creates. When certain things are missing, the self-value of the child will come down. More and more parents or the society puts down a child, more and more you will observe that the child will develop a kind of a problematic self-image a child develops over a period of time. So the self-opinion is very, very important in terms of this one. And that happens, in fact, our Shastras talk about within 5 years of age, actually majority of the trends and attitudes in a child are already hard-coded. That is how the Shastras talk about that. And if the self-confidence and self-image is not developed, that is the reason why whatever the child is doing, the mother, father tend to support and appreciate. Wow, good job. All that child has done is come down on the step by one step, it has come down. And mother, father, everybody around claps and says, what a great job you have done. So this type of this one is not something which is just like that come. It actually develops the person to have developed that self-confidence in oneself. And unless this are there in terms of very nature that we inculcate into a child is going to condemn itself. And when that happens, you have a major problem, yeah, with the children of and Arjuna is trying to say that Kulakshaya Krutam, I will have, the people will have a problem in terms of this. And once a child develops that type of a self pity, then even if Bhagwan comes and says that you are not this, you are that, aham brahmasmi, nothing will work out. Even 100 gurus they come, it will not have any this one. So in our Shastras, pretty clear. Guru Kripa, the blessings of the Guru is secondary. Shastra Kripa, Shastras when you try to learn, etc., is secondary. And Ishvara Kripa also becomes secondary because of this. What is required is Atma Kripa. Atma Kripa is I have to bless myself. And you have seen that in many of our prayers when we do, we also say that bless me, bless the world, bless my parents, bless everybody else, bless my teacher. all our opening prayers that we do, Sahana Vahutu, Sahana Bhunaktu, we include ourselves and we include the teacher and say, pray for their good behavior and no fighting that will happen, with three Shantis ending with at the end. So blessing oneself becomes an important aspect of our understanding this one. Unless one have this Atma Krupa, unless I do Krupa on myself, I bless myself, I will end up with a situation where the Guru Krupa will not work because I'm not ready to learn. My mind is not ready to accept. When Guru says that Aham Brahmasmi, I say Aham Brahmasmi, true for you, true for everybody else, not true for me because I am limited. That type of thinking process will not go away and it will remain in this. So these cultural values that we imbibe in a very early life, that will get affected when the parent, one single parent, is taken out of the equation. And in this case, that particular taking out is not a natural happening. It is because of the war, a man is getting killed, not one. So many people are getting killed. So child who learns by imitating the parents, by watching the parents, even when that happens, when others come in, the child will not be able to handle the situations properly in life. And that is what Arjuna is trying to say. That when the father, mother are the role models. And if you take out one of them, nothing else will work in that child's life so easily. Sometimes mother or father are strong enough to provide enough guidance, enough strength to be given to the child and prosper in the life. But that is an exception, not a rule. General rule is broken families directly means a broken child. That is the Shastras normally they talk about. And to serve as the models, a stable family is required, is what Arjuna is trying to say. Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatana. Kuladharma sanatana, sanatana kuladharma will be affected by kulakshaye pranashyanti. Dharme nashte kulam krishnam adharmobi bhavatyuta. Bhava achyuta. So the father, mother should always support the child, and if the support of even one is taken out, he says that is a problem. And when Krishna, when he talks about the pradushyanti kulastriyah, don't think Krishna is only talking about how a girl, a child, kulastri will be the kulastri is having problems in terms of this. Kulastriyah pradushyanti, being corrupt. This is coming up because the context is men are dying and women are left behind. That is the reason he is telling adharma bhi bhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyah. The ladies will become corrupt. Why they become corrupt is not because of lack of any value systems that they had till then, but the very fact that a earning member is taken out of the equation and you don't know what type of king will come after the war is over. If the same king who was there is there, coming back with a victory, they have a better chance. But war always is a costly aspect. It takes out the resources from the system. Whether the person who is winning the war is their own king, or if worse is if the opposite king comes. And further destruction of the resources will take place if the king loses the war to an enemy and enemy occupies your territory, then all your family will be further subject to misery. And when that happens, automatically that puts pressure on the remaining member. In this particular case, the Kulastriya. Kulastriya, family of the lady of the family, becomes corrupt out of compulsion. it becomes corrupt. And when that happens, that corruption, when we talk about, what will happen is that the Strishu Dushtashu Vashneya Jayate Varna Sankara. So the Varnas will get mixed up. What is this Varna system that we talk about in terms of this? You all know that each of the society, in the Vedic society, there are certain duties that are prescribed for each class of the people. See, in India, we have something we define as the duty-based society. In the West, you find more individual right-based society. Although society-wise also group rights are there of how a particular group will have to be given rights, but it is more based on the individual right-based society. So all your laws, all your policing systems, all your constitution, everything is to protect that individual right. We will find that in the Western society. Unfortunately, India copied most of their laws or retained the laws that were given by the British, and they continue to do to this day. However, our Sanatana Dharma, if you see the society, how it has been set up, we don't talk about individual rights. We talk about the duty of the individuals. So I, as a Shankar, play certain roles in the society, in the family, towards myself. So I have a duty towards myself to keep my health in a proper fashion, for example. So I should eat in a proper food, and I should take care of my body. I should take care of my mind. I should take care of my intellect. And depending upon the stage in my life, certain aspects are given as to what are my duty towards myself. Similarly, as a father, once I get married, as a husband, I have certain duties towards my partner. As a person who got married, I have duties towards the spouse. As a father, once we get the children, as father, I have certain duties towards the children. So it's a duty-based society, and my duty automatically becomes a right of my other people who are there around me, associated with me, attached with me. Very important difference. In fact, nothing like this is right or that is right. See, here, when we say individual right I also have a societal duty to protect that right. What is my right as an individual? I must also say that individual rights are equally applicable to everybody around me. So it automatically becomes a duty of myself to establish a process and pattern wherein, while safeguarding my rights, I will not infringe on the rights of others around me, associated with me. Same concept, but focus here is on the individual rights, whereas Sanatana Dharma, it is more focused on the individual duty. So my duty automatically becomes a right of the other person. Unfortunately, we get mixed up these two ways of thinking. So for example, I'll give you one example. As a person, as a father, we have children. It is our responsibility, it is my duty to take care of them, inculcate certain values, good values, give them proper education, make them into a individual who can self-sustain themselves in the society as a productive member. Our Chinmaya Mission pledge is a wonderful example of that. Yeah. So when we say this is my duty, after doing that, I must allow the children then to say they are now capable of making the proper judgments. And if they don't, they will learn. I should have that openness in terms of accepting that I have given as best I can in terms of my duties I have fulfilled. And now it is up to the child to take over. But what we say, no, 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 no. Now I say, now you have a duty to take care of me when I become old. No, it is not your right as such. If you say if you're duty based and you have done your duty, follow it up with that. But if you say it is right based, then as an individual, you may have certain rights, but it's not necessary that rights will be fulfilled only by the child. Because I have taken care of you, you should take care of me. Not necessary, really speaking. But if a duty-based society, if you are thinking like that, I have done my duty, I hope my child with the inculcated values will fulfill his duty of taking care of me in my old age. So unless you have one aspect of this, it is very difficult when you mix these two. Yeah, I hope I am able to make that point clear, that even our thinking, we should be clear and we should not mix up these two. If I'm thinking of a duty-based society, I continue in terms of duty-based. I hope the other person will do their duty. But I cannot insist as a right. I cannot put that as a right. But in a right-based society, you can always say, after 18 years, get out of my house, because it is not any longer my responsibility. I have done whatever I can. Now you are an adult, you take care of yourself. And similarly, the child may come back and say that, okay, you have done your bit. It is my right that you have done nothing extra for me. So I will take care of my life. You take care of your life after that. So that type of thinking is there in the right-based society, and one must accept that also. So we need to understand as to where we are coming from. So in our Vedic society, we have the 4 types of duties. One is duty based on if it is Kshatriya, based on that, administration, politicians, etc. There can be a businessman related. We call that as Vaishya. So they are more in terms of establishing certain processes where society as a whole and people by themselves will improve their ability to gain money, spend money. So they becomes a businessman type of a people. That is one varna. And the last one is the based on your service related industries. And the first one, Brahmana, is more in terms of cultural aspects, spiritual aspects, and study of the scriptures. They become important for such a person. And not only study of the scriptures, but propagating scriptures, teaching scriptures become an important aspect of Brahmana life. And that scriptures, when we talk about, don't think of only spiritual text that we are talking about. Even a physics text that we talk about, it doesn't matter. Any of that, they become learning, teaching is the hallmark of Brahmana as a Varna, that we see that. And when a person is taken out, it automatically puts in a lot of pressure on the family. And when that happens, Varna Sankara will take place. The women or men left behind, because they cannot get the same Varna possibly before the marriage, what was there, may end up with a different type of environment being created for the child. And child will then have problems in terms of understanding what is happening, imitating. Till now, I had a different value system. Now with this one, I'm having a different value system. Confusion sets into the children, and you have a Varna Sankara, is how the Arjuna is talking about. We'll stop here with 41. We'll take it up with 42 in the next class. We'll close here and then take up any questions if anybody has. Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Any questions anybody has?
Shankarji, can I ask a question?
Sure, sure.
So when you live in the West, there is a huge conflict between the two, because you can either teach the kids to be duty oriented, but that only works until they start to go to school, and then all of a
Correct.
sudden, then in the school, no matter what they do, whether they do well or whether they do poorly, nobody tells them that they're not doing well. It's always a wonderful job.
Correct.
So what is the best way to handle that?
Uh, Unfortunately, when they are very young, as we mentioned, they cannot understand discrimination ability will not be there, as I mentioned. All that is we can do when they are below 10 years of age is
Mhm.
only to follow our own dharma. When we do that, child actually considers the parents as gods, as I mentioned. So
Mhm.
they will imitate you automatically. That may create certain conflict in for first few years, that may create a conflict, that I am seeing my parents operating in a different way, whereas my teachers actually telling something different. And when
Mhm.
the time comes, when the maturity slowly started dawning, we require to then tell them these aspects what we are talking about. When we say
Mhm.
that Sanatana Dharma, we tell them that there is a duty, there is a right. In this society in which we are, it is a right-based society. You should learn, because that is how the whole society operates. But in the background, remember that right of yours is nothing but the duty of yours to sustain the rights of others as well. Expand
Mhm.
the scope from selfishness in terms of my right, so you give me, you give me, you give me. No, I will give you that, but I am doing that as a duty, and that also entails certain duty on your part to reciprocate. I agree
Or,
that,
or at least to continue the tradition.
correct. Correct. To the extent possible, we require to do that. And unfortunately, it is not easy for children here, Kalpana ji, and you know that very well. It is not
Mhm.
easy on the children, because they are constantly being taught in the school, as you mentioned, in a different value systems. And I'm not telling
Mhm.
they are bad. All I'm trying to say is, when you see what is happening in Sanatan Dharma, don't say that this is wrong and completely withdraw. You have to explain to them that you should bring in the values where my right automatically becomes your duty, or my duty automatically becomes your right. And similarly, your duty should be there, which will protect my right.
Mhm. Yeah,
This,
and the reason I ask is because I'm one of those confused people, because I grew up here, and
correct.
at that time there wasn't any Chinmay mission, there wasn't anything.
Yeah.
So I always find myself torn between both of them.
True, true, absolutely true. We
Yeah,
require to strike a balance on our children, and
yeah.
hopefully the curriculum of Balvihar tries to bring this in through
Hmm.
the through various stories that we are telling. And if even if two children ask question, automatically the message will go to everybody, and we should encourage any such
Hmm.
child who is asking question.
I have to say, Shankarji, this is I've heard chapter 1 so many times, but the way you've explained it, it is so clear. It helps clarify a lot of things for myself.
Thank you very much, Kalpana ji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Otherwise, I will stop the recording now.